The biggest thing you gave me was time.
I've always been a proponent of do the job, do it well.
When you're a family, everyone in the family has to be treated with respect.
I couldn't have done this without you. Coming here to K-State, you've been my confidant and in the room with me.
I want to know who you really are, right? You can put whatever you want on paper, but that doesn't really matter.
His teachers, they meet the learner wherever he is.
They don't care what you know.
They know how much you care.
Be aggressive. Let's win. Here we go.
In your own words, how did you get to where you are today as a senior consultant on an executive on one of the top executive search firms in the country today?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is luck and timing. I've been very fortunate that things kind of worked out the way that they did early in my career. Going back, I raised in a tennis family, have a twin sister who is a great player. We both played, and she went to go play for Auburn. I was not as good of a tennis player, not at least to go to the schools that maybe I wanted to go to. And so I went to Florida State for my undergrad with really no plans to continue to be around tennis. I happened to have the opportunity to hop on with the team as a stringer. And then that became a manager position a year later. And I stuck with the team for 4 years and had a great relationship with the players, with the coach, and just really loved what college athletics was about. And thought, well, maybe I'll stick around and try to be involved in this industry. And did my MBA there, and then had the opportunity to go to North Carolina, UNC Chapel Hill, for a program that was very focused on college athletics, and interned with the administration there. And while I was there, was really more in the administrative side in data, and had some conversations around our coaching staff and how we evaluate those coaches, decisions that go into when there is a change and you're looking to recruit your next coaches, what you're looking for, and so it kind of happened that I started building lists in the event that we thought we would lose a coach to retirement. UNC's got a heck of a list of coaches out there, but every once in a while some of them leave, and what our plan was in that case, and that's kind of how I got adjacent to executive search, and thought, well, this is really neat. I like the intersection of people, sports, and data, and trying to make good decisions to drive the growth of the department. So it also happened to be that UNC Chapel Hill is closely connected with CSA through the founder, Todd Turner, and Brad Bates, our vice president of consulting, who's on the faculty there, and just was really fortunate, right place, right time, I think, at a time when executive search was growing, to be able to join a team, really small team, and we've grown a lot since then. That was that 2018 or so that I joined CSA, and since then we've grown from really being a pretty small operation to being one of the biggest firms in the country. So
amazing. Now, what I was reading is that you also have been promoted, right? And the CSA Connect is now under your wing, which is a pretty cool venture, right? Kind of called a new startup, and so I think that's a pretty cool thing for you as well. Very impressive.
Yeah, we're excited with what we're doing there. Drew and I, and really Drew's brainchild with Matt Roberts at D1 Ticker, started this in, what was it, December 22, and really excited about where we're going, particularly here in the next few months, trying to I guess bring executive search to positions outside of AD and senior staff, but allow staffs to be empowered to go have access to a database like what CSA has access to, and go recruit people. You're in coaching, so you get this. Not all administrators get it immediately, but we really think it's important to go recruit the best.
Right.
And not just take applications. I know you don't take applications for your quarterback there at K-State. You go out and find the best and try to convince them to come join your team. And that's not something that's natural on the administrative side. We really think it should be. And so trying to give the tools of executive search to the senior staffs to go find and recruit their own administrative talent.
Right. So let's shift gears just a little bit. It's cool for me during the season on Thursdays because I got an opportunity at K-State. I get an opportunity to talk to the team. I get an opportunity to talk to them about our core values and how really week to week, how they intersect to what's going on in that particular week. And our core values at K-State of discipline, commitment, toughness, and being selfless, right? Those are very important to us. Well, in any organization, and I try to talk to my sons at home about the fact that, hey, listen, you have to have core values in your family when one day you're a father, right? Well, I know that you have values that are important to you. So what I'd ask is what are those values and how do they go into what you do every day in your role?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The one that most immediately comes to me that I think I've gravitated towards has just been authenticity. With the people I work with those that maybe report to me, with my colleagues, just wanting to be a really authentic person that people can trust and know that they're getting the truth from and that they can be themselves with as well. I think that's maybe now more than ever, out there, it feels like authenticity's on the decline. Not sure if that's fair to say, but for me, that's just been something that has driven my decision making. The person that I want to be. Beyond that, I think treat people well. Probably goes without saying, but certainly, in our industry, things move fast. We work with people, both CSA and myself. Personally, just think it's incredibly important to treat people well, and we work around sensitive topics. People, going after positions, and these positions impact their family, and trying to remember that we're all people with families and whatnot at the end of the day, and I know that probably sounds par for the course, but it doesn't always happen out there, and it's really important in what we do, and particularly what I do, and then maybe lastly, for myself, I just really want to be good at what I do. I'm not going to be great at everything. I know that. I do not have the personality to go be a fundraiser, say. I lack in a lot of skills, but in the things that I do, especially how I chip in with CSA, really want to be excellent at those. And so continue to work at that and recognize what my weaknesses are, and use our team to support me there.
Right. So you, and I think this is a cool question for you, because you spend a lot of time finding people for other people's team, right? And you identify, like you said, you recruit the best for somebody else, right? And most of the times when you're doing that, you're recruiting them to the needs that this institution is looking for, right? You're recruiting for this team, and they've told you what they want, what they need. Well, I'm going to ask you, when you're looking for people on your team, what are the things, when you're faced with making a hire, when you're faced with bringing someone onto your bus, right? What are the things that you look for in a person, in a candidate that you would want on your team?
Yeah, that's a good question. we've been fortunate to have grown a good bit lately and have gone through a number of searches for our own team. We're a small team, so it doesn't happen very often. But I think being in a small remote team where we're involved in Connect and the executive search side, and we have a large consulting practice. Our team generally wears a lot of hats, operates really independently. And so, we've frequently said, we want people that have that kind of figure it out factor. We don't always have the answers. We're not all experts in everything, but we're wearing these hats. And so we don't do a lot of hand holding. We're here to support each other, of course, but really we've always looked for people that are go-getters and problem solvers in their own right and have a natural curiosity to go drive the organization forward. And I suspect that's probably the case in a lot of other organizations, but particularly when you are a small team that is remote, we hire people and we trust them to handle their role and of course let us know when they need support. But ultimately that kind of natural driving curiosity, the desire to go, hey, if we're not doing things the best you think they can be done, tell us how we can do it better. Rather than just maybe the pure execution role. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Okay. So, this podcast is called, the part of the name is Leaders Lead. And when Pat came to me and said, hey, this is what we need to do. Okay, what are we going to talk about? And he said, hey, man, leadership, right? And I said, you know what? Yes, leadership. So again, I say it's been a fabulous experience because we've been around some great leaders and in all aspects, of course, in all aspects of sport. But then we've talked to authors and we've talked to people in the corporate world. But my question to you is, like, who are the leaders, the best leaders that you've been around? And what are some things that, and if you got one, give me one, but what are some things that these people or this person taught you?
Yeah, I've been really, I think, lucky, in my relatively young career to have been around a lot of really good leaders. I think back early on to Jennifer Hyde at Florida State, still the head coach there, who just recognized a passion that I had and allowed me to make mistakes. As a young college student, and wanting to help that team, but made a lot of mistakes, and she stuck with me and helped me grow there, and she was appropriately tough at times, but also just so caring and so authentic. I think to Nikki Moore, who was the SWA senior associate back at UNC when I was there, and has since gone to be the AD at Colgate and now Cornell. Was really fortunate to work with her just recently on her basketball search there at Cornell. And she just was unbelievably empathetic with her staff. Seemed to have a sixth sense for how everybody was feeling, and maybe the political nature around her. And I say that, not in a negative way, but just had a really great sense for people's feelings and motivations and just how she could help make sure that everybody was in a good place. Just extraordinary there. And then I think to our team at CSA, and kind of in a little bit different ways, but Todd Turner, Drew Turner, Brad Bates, all just authentic people, all just idea creators and willing to go try new things and allow our staff to grow and try new things and throw them into the fire and have them learn really quickly. It's a little bit different leadership styles out there. Particularly Drew and Todd, just the vision that they've had in our industry, and to go say, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to go do it, and we're going to start. And we'll figure out the pieces later, and largely we have, largely thanks to them. So yeah, just different leadership styles, but all those pieces have kind of come with me across my career, and have been things that I want to add into my skill set.
And as I listen to you again, cool moment, because and it's like this with a lot of our guests. As I'm sitting here, like, I really want to be taking notes, but guess what? I watch it again and I take notes from that. But I hear these common things. I hear these common words. I hear authentic. I hear service. I hear innovation. I hear courage, right? Those are things that, man, it doesn't matter what field it is. And I know we're talking executive search and we're talking sports, but it doesn't matter what field it is, the leader has to have those things. And again, it's just cool for me as I'm a coach, and in my role, I lead young men, right? And so these things that we get an opportunity, that I firsthand get an opportunity to hear and to continue to confirm that this is the way to do it. It's just a cool moment, and continues to be that each time I get an opportunity to do this podcast. My next question is for you to think about. Well, no, you don't have to think about it, because you might have alluded to the fact that you're an older guy, right? That you're more seasoned, but you're quite young, right? Considering everybody in the room right now. But being a younger person, being a guy who got into this as a young man, it wasn't long ago that you were a young green whippersnapper, right? And so my question to you is, how do you, when you deal with younger people, when you deal with people who aspire to do what you do, when you deal with younger people on your staff, how do you motivate? How do you encourage them? What are the things that you would tell a young lady or a young man who would aspire to be doing the things that you're doing today?
Yeah, I think exploring your passions, being exceptionally curious, and doing the things that maybe haven't been assigned to you, but you think drive the organization further, that you're curious, you want to go do this research project and see what the results are. Just attempt a new way at how business has been operating. I think in athletics and college athletics, we've got a little bit of that, where things have been the same for 10 years, 20 years. And so I think that's important, because people see your passions and see your skills when you do that. For us particularly, and with our team, I think as we've had interns and younger staff, I've really tried to drive that curiosity for them, understand, what gets you excited. How can I transition you into things that really, drive that interest, that curiosity, that desire to create and be better. And I think particularly for the young group, the opportunity to get more freedom and roles that allow for that flexibility, I think has always been a significant driver. Perhaps I'm a millennial myself, but I think certainly for our generation and the younger generations, the trust and the freedom to go do and create, and not completely with no guardrails and whatnot, but I think that really drives a sense of ownership, and if people don't feel like they're a part of the team, if they don't feel like they have a stake in the outcome, that they're not driving the result in any way, really hard to get that kind of buy-in. Whereas when they do feel like the things that they're working on really matter, that they have some level of autonomy to go pursue the things that they think matter, you can overcome a lot of other deficiencies in a job, say location, say pay, when they like the people that they're working with, they have that strong relationship. I know you see that in football. Relationship is so big. It's the number one thing in career satisfaction. I think probably forever that's been the number one thing. And so when you can develop that with the younger staff, you've got a good chance to keep them around and have them be productive.
So that was cool, right? Because you were able to project your influence on younger people. But here's what I want you to do now. I want you to go back in time and talk to that younger version of you, right? That again, that even younger whippersnapper, right? I want you to talk to that younger version of you. Tell, like, what would you tell that dude, right? You're looking at him as what he was, right? What would you tell him? How would you help him be better? How would you help him navigate a little bit easier than he did?
Yeah, no, I'm no sage. That's for sure. I've got a lot more to learn here. And certainly I think you probably hear this a good bit, but I think the number one thing I would say is and for most industries, but definitely in college athletics, it's such a relational industry. Sure, I work in executive search, so we definitely are. But even if you're on campus and even if you're on a coaching staff, it's so relational. Our world is not that big. It really is not. There are less than 7 degrees of separation in college athletics, anywhere you go. And so I think my advice, I was back at Chapel Hill, I was at Florida State. My advice to my younger self would have been go meet more people, go have those conversations. The older people on staff, the younger people on staff, and get a better sense for the things they've been able to learn and what's been going on in this industry. You just never know. Certainly from a networking standpoint, professional development standpoint, you never know where people are going to end up. We see that all the time in our industry. And when you may need something, when they may need something, but also just as an educational piece. I'm in college athletics at this time, and college athletics over the last 8 years is very different than the college athletics we've had for decades before this. And there's some wisdom that comes from that. There's some values that I think are really important from that.
So this is my final question, and it's always a cool question, and it really kind of depends on who you ask this question of. But for me as a coach, right, my game day is, of course, it's Saturday. Everybody's at the stadium, and it is very clear. But really, when I think about that, what I'm saying is, as a coach, like when I get this player who just couldn't get it, right? I get this player who came to me and, man, we're playing cover two. He just can't get it. When we're off the field and he's late for tutoring and he's missing this thing and he just does not understand the effort that it takes to do things the right way. He just does not understand how to tackle the right way. We've worked on this skill set, the communication, all those things. He's just not getting it. But then one day it clicks, right? And it could be in year 2, it could be in year 3, but one day, one moment it clicks and all of a sudden things start to happen for him. That's my game day, right? When I'm able to pour into young people and then I see it. Sometimes it doesn't happen until after they graduate and they come back, right? They got a tough light switch. But anyway, what my question to you is in your world, what is game day for you, right? It's not a tennis match. What is your game day? What is that thing that you light up for because of the work you've done? Where is that light up moment for you?
Yeah, well, I mentioned we're involved in a couple other areas, the consulting side, with what we're doing with Connect. One example might be we have some consulting agreements where we do peer data analysis, where we help evaluate a department and maybe provide observations, recommendations. And a lot of my role in that is data, which is not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. And I love the data. And so game day for me is when we hop on the call with the AD or with the president, and we present that data, and I walk through, here's the takeaways, and ultimately really trying to boil down a ton of data into the main summary points that they need to know, and that's taken some learning in my career to say, hey, ADs can't understand, they don't have the time to take digesting all this data. I've got to find a way to tell that story quicker when we're in a board meeting with the president, or it's the AD and we're talking about conference realignment, or how their programs compare to their peers and aspirational peers. So that is my game day. Really get amped up about that. Certainly on the executive search side, when we hit the stride of football turnover season, basketball turnover season, we have I mean, as you know, as Pat knows, we've got about a month, 2 month window that things go crazy. And it's exhausting and stressful, but it is a thrill. And it's really fun, similar to how you describe seeing the impact of your student athletes afterward, but it's really rewarding when we go through a search process, and there's so many talented candidates. That's the hardest part about what we do. There's not 1, 2 talented candidates that deserve that job. There's 30, 20 that could do that job, that are more than qualified. And so it's extremely hard to get those positions. And so unfortunately a lot of people don't, and that's the worst part about our job, is all the people that get really excited, and we have to tell them it's not this one. But for the one that it is, it's a step in their life. It's a new chapter. It's hopefully a step forward. It's really exciting for them and their families, and really exciting to see down the road, hopefully that they have a lot of success, whether it's an AD placement, senior staff, coaching placement, that they're in a new place, having an impact on a whole new group of student athletes. So yeah, that's pretty rewarding, pretty easy to when you look down the line to say, man, we're really helping to have a big impact here.
Right. And like I said, I get that joy, right? But I could see it on your face as you described, right? And I guess, no matter what sector of athletics you're in, there's the ability to have their game day. There's the ability to impact. There's the ability to feel that joy. And it's not always, you drew up a certain play. You know what I mean? It's not always you stopped them on 3rd or 4th down. Sometimes, and this is what I try to get our players to understand, is that, man, athletics is very different, right? There's people who are impacting this game who you would never hear about. There's people impacting this game that you never see, and again, that's what makes it so special, because we talk to them about how important the scout team is. You know what I mean? The scout team won't walk out there, but that scout team receiver who has been giving you a good look all week is vital to the success of the overall team. Well, Clay, I appreciate your time, man. It was a great joy.
Yeah, Van, I mean, can I ask a question or two? You mind?
I probably won't be
You
able
got a
to
lot more wisdom than I do.
Go ahead.
You got a lot more to add. I'd love to hear. Being an executive search, we're more aligned to the administrative side, as you know. Our staff has been on campus, and in leadership positions, and it can be tougher to truly get in the minds of coaches. What is something that you wish administrators understood better about your world in Power 4, Power 5, high level football as a coach, that maybe they don't understand as well, or maybe it's a message that's not out there as much as it should be?
Well, the administrators that I've had on this podcast, they get it, right? They get it. And what I mean is that this is a people business, right? You talked about the fact that you're a data guy. I'm a data guy too. I'm a coach, quite odd. A lot of coaches are not data guys, but I'm a data guy, right? And like when you talk to administrators, again, I say I've had some unbelievable administrators on this podcast. And what I do is I follow them and I fact check. I check around to see, are they these relationship people that they say, right? And this business is about relationships. It's about impact. Yeah, there's some fundraising involved. Yes, there is. Yes, there's data involved. Yes, wins and losses, bam, they are important. Yes, money is important, right? But it's relationships, right? At the core, at the foundation, at the grassroots level, it's about relationships. So what I mean is that as we do things, as we operate, we got to understand that it always has to start and end with the student athletes first, right? And again, the people I've had on this podcast, to a man, to a woman, they, as I've researched them, that's who they are, right? But there's secret talk that not everybody is operating like that, you know. And so that's something that that if I could talk to the room of administrators, I would say don't ever lose sight of that, because I'm on the front lines. I deal with the student athletes, and if you look at it as an entity, as a company, they're the product, right? And as they are the product, we got to make sure that we are treating them the right way, that we're making sure that we're putting them in the best situations, not just for the moments that they are with us, but like I take great pride in young men coming back and talking to me, right? And the fact that now they have learned the value of that education. Now they have learned the value of hard work. Now they have learned all those lessons that I gave them along the way. Sometimes I gave them to them as they were running stadium steps, but either way, when they come back and they tell me, Coach, I appreciate it. You know, players who played a lot, players who made it to the NFL, players who didn't, you know, that's where I get my biggest joy.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think with all the narrative out there on the commercial side of football and college athletics, kind of the almost talking about it like it's pro sports. It's I very much hope, as maybe a value of mine and as what I hope is a core value for our industry, that it continues to be about the student athlete of all sports, and that their experience and what college athletics does as an educational tool to advance the lives of young people is not lost in this yes, very fun and entertaining industry of college football, college basketball, and other sports. But yeah, I certainly hope that it continues to stay around relationships, and I think when you talk to coaches like yourself, I'm encouraged to hear the continuing value there.
What are the other questions? I'm having fun now because I'm like,
yeah, I guess maybe along that line, how have you seen student athletes change? You know, you've been coaching for a while now, over the last few decades. There's a lot of talk out there on what the new student athlete's like, what the new football recruit is like. How have you seen that really progress?
Yeah, to me, and I was talking to one of our players after practice, one of our players who was late for an appointment, and we had to have a discussion where he was doing physical activity to help remind him to where he needed to be. And I said to him that man, you as a young man, you just like I was as a young man. You wanted discipline. You wanted someone to tell you the truth. You wanted someone to hold you accountable. And I don't care what goes on in college athletics, from NIL to revenue sharing. I don't care about that. All I care about is being able to sleep at night. And I got into this business because I like sleeping at night. And what I mean by that is I'm never going to allow anything to take me away from the job that I've been given by God to change the world through sports, to impact young men, to hold them accountable, to teach them the lessons. Because sometimes they just don't know. They don't know that they don't know, right? But when you give them discipline and you do it with love, right? They understand. They know when you care about them and they know when you don't. You can say whatever you want to, and you can say it however you want to say it, but they know when you care about them and they know when you don't. And if you hold them, because I've had coaches say this, discipline is not what you do to them, it's what you do for them, right? And they have to allow you to do that to them, right? And they have to allow you to do that with them, right? When a player makes a mistake today, 20 years ago, 20 years from now, when a player makes a mistake, they're not intentionally, in most cases, trying to jack it up, right? But they do make a mistake, and you have to hold them accountable. Otherwise, you're not really teaching them, right? Because I look at my own kids, right? And I give them as much as I can. And I wonder to myself sometimes, am I helping them? Right? Because my parents, they didn't have it to give to me, right? They didn't have it to give to me. I didn't have my own car when I was in high school. My kids do, right? My kids did. When I had to walk, now I've told my kids that it was like an 8-mile walk, but it was really only 3. They were able to Google it, right? Home, back and forth from school. But at the end of the day, that walk where I had to walk home or sometimes catch the bus home, did that really hurt me? You know what I mean? Sometimes over the course of my kids' high school careers, I wanted to take their keys and just make them walk home, just to let them see that you're not going to die, right? They've had phones attached to their hands since they were like 9, 10 years old, right? I didn't have a phone. I barely had a home phone, but these guys, they have a phone. They have watches with phones on. It's unbelievable. The kids today and the kids of tomorrow, yeah, those things are cool, but they want discipline. They want to be held accountable. They want you to teach them. They want you to do it in love. So with a long, drawn out way of getting to it, I say, yeah, they've changed in a way that they have access. They can Google things, right? You can't lie to them. You just can't tell them that if you don't go to sleep, the boogeyman is going to come out and get you. They can Google it. They know there's no boogeyman, right? You can't fool them with those things. You have to tell the truth, because they can find it if not, right? But with that, you know what? That holds us accountable to be honest with them, to find different ways. Our basketball coach, Coach Tang, he went into our football stands a couple years ago, and we had a chant that our students would sing that was all over the place, right? I'm not going to get into all that, but Coach Tang went into those stands with those students, and he said, "Hey, cut it out." Right? But basically this is what he did. He said, "I'm going to get in here with you and I'm going to show you how we can have fun this way." And they respected that because he got in the arena with them. And he said, "No, this is the way we do it." Well, that's what I believe student athletes of today, that's what they want. They want you to, come on, man, respect me enough to listen to my music. Now, you don't have to like it, but at least put your ear up to it and say, "Oh, no, I can't understand what they're saying," right? But at least be willing to get in there for the moment, right? When you see coaches after the games, when they're dancing, right? That's what you're saying to these student athletes. It's not my thing, but for this moment, I'm gonna get in here with you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have
I'll be
fun
there.
with you. That's what you do with your own kids, right? You want to show them that you understand who they are and where they come from. And you, for this moment, now I'm not going to do it every day. And I'm not your buddy, right? But for this moment, I'll do it with you, right? And so, long drawn out answer, but I'm an expert at that, according to my wife.
No, that's awesome. I love it. That's a great answer.
Well, man, Clay, 100% every time when we get off, right? Pat and I, we lock in, we say, you know what? That might have been the best. Right? Every time, each one is the best one. This is the best one. You know, when Pat and I jump on, we're gonna say that was the best one. And probably because Van, you've never been interviewed before, right? So I did an interview, right? So we appreciate you for taking the time to jump on. And this, man, has been a great learning experience, I believe, for anybody who will have the opportunity to watch it.
Yeah, no, you're far too kind. It's been good to catch up. Good to see you again. Excited to talk about leadership in our industry. And appreciate you having me on.